Welcome back to your daily news, but without the libtard propaganda. I'm your host, Aardvarks. Now let's see how just fucked up our world is. Starting off, Vice President Kamala Harris takes foreign calls on behalf of Joe Biden. Because as we learned in a CNN article yesterday, Joe Biden goes to bed early. She's talking to people, non-important countries like France and Canada, their presidents for some reason. The article doesn't really explain why she stepped up and doing the president's job. When we have a president, we can obviously guess what's going on. CNN bans Chris Cuomo from covering scandal-ridden brother as criminal investigation starts. The most important part about this article is they are acknowledging that Chris Cuomo, or Anthony Cuomo, is under criminal investigation for killing a bunch of old people in New York and then lying about it. His brother, because of a rule that started in 2013, he's not supposed to cover his brother, but CNN during the pandemic changed that rule so he could give puff pieces for his brother. But now that his brother's under criminal investigation, it's very important there, criminal investigation, they no longer allowed his brother to talk to him. It's kind of dumb. Australia's top university instructs staff to call fathers non-birthing parents and mothers gestational parent as not to offend those who do not identify with gender binaries because of what 0.3% of the population thinks 100% of the population has to change. The words just keep getting longer. Non-birthing parent, it's just easier to say father. This is fucking dumb. Or if this was the 90s, I would say that's fucking gay. But this isn't the 90s, so I'm not going to say that. Facebook blocks news in Australia over government plan to force payment to publishers. A lot of people are misreporting this, saying that Facebook's banning news in Australia. What happened is the government in Australia has decided that publishers deserve to get paid when their articles are shared on Facebook. So if you go on Facebook and you share an article, Australian government thinks that whoever wrote that article deserves to get paid for simply sharing it. And Facebook doesn't want to pay this. Facebook doesn't want to deal with this. So to avoid this, they're just not going to allow Australian news to be shared on Facebook. This is like yesterday when I was talking about DeSantis is trying to do that Privacy Act and against social media. I don't know how they're going to enforce that with something like this happening. I feel like Facebook would just block Florida from getting on Facebook, just like they're blocking this news in Australia before they would change the way they operate. Biden dismisses Uighur genocide as part of China's different norms when asking about all these people that were being castrated in concentration camps and some being killed so they could harvest their organs. Biden dismissed it as, that's just a cultural norm of theirs. We shouldn't put our objective standard on them because our culture isn't better. It's just different cultures, different but equal. God, I hate Biden. New York Times retract claim that Trump supporter killed Capitol officer with a fire extinguisher. See, one of the things they charged with Trump with the Insurrection Act is they were saying a Capitol police officer was killed by a Trump supporter with a fire extinguisher. Now, New York Times has officially retracted that, and since New York Times was the only source that was cited in that insurrection thing, the Congress should come out and apologize for lying about Trump. They're not going to do that. But the officer that was killed by a fire extinguisher, first and foremost, never suffered any blunt force trauma. Second, he was never hit with a fire extinguisher. And third, there's text messages from him to his brother hours after when he's at the police station saying he was fine. It was probably a blood clot. They're not exactly sure. Maybe it was a stroke. They don't know what happened to him or how he died, but they do know for a fact he did not get hit with a fire extinguisher and he did not die from blunt force trauma. Basically, every death that's been attributed to Trump supporters at the Capitol Hill riots was wrong. Portland police forced to guard a grocery store amid power outages. Now, I don't understand. What happened was they lost power, they're throwing away a bunch of perishables, and the employees were out there guarding it. And a whole bunch of people found out good food was going to waste. They came to grab it, and the employees wouldn't let them, so the employees called the cops, and the cops got there. They were stopping everyone and threatening to arrest them if they didn't leave. I don't know why this grocery store, who was losing out on money, didn't just give it to the public. Maybe it's some law I'm unaware of. Maybe they're just disgusting liberals who actually hate poor people and never do anything to help poor people. They only talk good about poor people and say they're going to help poor people. But when shit hits the fan, they never do anything to lift a finger to help poor people. They actually call the cops to prevent poor people from benefiting from something that's being thrown away. U.S. is going to pay the WHO more than $200 million by the end of this month. Because enjoy your $600, but fuck you. We have disgusting organizations that bend over backwards to help China and spread the Chinese virus. Good thing they're getting hundreds of millions of dollars from us. A school in New York is asking parents to reflect on their whiteness. Check this out. They put white privilege next to white supremacists. Because that's how white liberals view white people. They hate white people. All liberals hate white people, and all liberals are disgusting. You want to see what the principal looks like that put this out? He's a white guy. He's a white liberal who hates whites, and so he's putting out this disgusting, racist, anti-white propaganda to punish white people for merely existing. Liberals shouldn't be allowed to vote. Now we'll end with a good story. Mysteries of massive holes forming in Siberian permafrost unlocked by scientists. And by unlocked by scientists, they mean more of these holes are opening up to take us away and swallow us and alleviate us from all this anti-white racism. Thanks, God. And that's been your daily news, but without the libtard propaganda. Remember, all liberals are disgusting trash.